chapter 5, because Naso, the Torah portion is Numbers chapter 4, 21, all the way up to 7 and 89. But I wanted to briefly look at Numbers chapter 5, down at verse 11. Numbers chapter 5, verse 11, and read all the way down to the end. I want to spend a little bit of time looking at the Torah portion, because we were absent today. So I want to look at this a little bit in depth. So let's go over to Numbers 5, chapter 5 and verse 11, and read all the way down to 31.
Numbers 5, verse 11. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, speak to the children of Israel and say to them, when any man's wife turns aside and has committed a trespass against him, and a man has intercourse with her, and it is hidden from the eyes of her husband, and it is concealed that she has defiled herself, and there was no witness against her, nor was she caught, and a spirit of jealousy comes upon him, and he becomes jealous of his wife who has defiled herself, or a spirit of jealousy comes upon him, and he becomes jealous of his wife, although she has not defiled herself, then the man shall bring his wife to the priest, and he shall bring the offering for her, 1/10 of the ephah of barley flour. He is not to pour oil on it or put frankincense on it, because it is a grain offering of jealousy, an offering for remembering, for bringing crookedness to remembrance. And the priest shall bring her near, and shall make her stand before Yahweh. And the priest shall take set apart water in the earthen vessel, and take some of the dust that is on the floor of the dwelling place, and put it in the water. And the priest shall make the woman stand before Yahweh, and shall uncover the woman's head, and put the offering for remembering in her hands, which is the grain offering of jealousy, while the priest holds his hand to the bitter water that brings a curse. And the priest shall make her swear, and say to the woman, if no man has lain with you, and if you have not turned aside to uncleanness under your husband's authority, be free from this bitter water that brings a curse. But if you have turned aside under your husband's authority, and if you have defiled yourself, and some man other than your husband has lain with you, then the priest shall make the woman swear with the oath of the curse, and he shall say to the woman, Yahweh make you a curse and an oath among your people, and the Yahweh makes your thigh waste away and your belly swell, and this water that causes the curse shall go into your inward parts and make your belly swell and your thigh waste away. And the woman shall say, Amen, 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 amen. And the priest shall write these curses in a book, and shall wipe them off into the bitter water, and shall make the woman drink the bitter water that brings the curse, and the water that brings the curse shall enter her to become bitter. And the priest shall take the grain offering of jealousy from the woman's hand, and shall wave the offering before Yahweh, and bring it to the slaughter place. And the priest shall take the hand filled with the offering as its remembrance offering, and burn it on the slaughter place, and afterward make the woman drink the water. And when he has made her drink the water, then it shall be, if she has defiled herself and has committed a trespass against her husband, that the water that brings a curse shall enter her and become bitter, and her belly shall swell, and her thighs shall waste away, and the woman shall become a curse among the people, her people. But if the woman has not defiled herself and is clean, then she shall be clean or clear, and shall conceive children. This is the Torah of jealousy, when a woman turns aside under her husband's authority and defiles herself. Or when a spirit of jealousy comes upon a man, and he becomes jealous of his wife, then he shall make the woman stand before Yahweh, and the priest shall do to her all this Torah. And the man shall be clear from crookedness, but the woman bear her crookedness.
All right, very good. This always was an interesting part of the Torah. There's a few principles that we find inside of there, as well as some interesting judgments that take place that I wanted to look at. First of all, we go back up to the top, Numbers chapter 5 and 13, where the key here to this whole situation is that there is this thought of a thing happening, and there weren't any witnesses. Right? There's no witnesses. If there's a witness to what is supposed to have happened, then none of this is even necessary. There's witnesses, you know, you can get whatever is coming to you immediately, right? Because you have witnesses. But this here, it says in verse 14, is something that is a result of the spirit of jealousy. The spirit of jealousy. It's interesting when we think about the word spirit, you know, we think about the Ruach. We think about the Ruach HaKodesh, the spirit of holiness. But this here, look that up there in verse 14 where it says spirit of jealousy, because we know what the spirit of holiness is. We know what the Ruach HaKodesh is. But this ain't that.
That's not a good spirit.
Well, I'm not sure what it is, actually. But we can rule it out from actually being the Ruach HaKodesh by simply looking at this here, verse 14, that word their spirit is in fact Ruach, right? Which means spirit, which means breath. But when we look at that jealousy word there, that jealousy word, you got that?
You don't have to know. You have to rock.
I need that jealousy.
I know that you have to rock first.
A little bit of a lag here. Oh, I see it there. Kana. Kana, which is jealousy. Scroll up on that a little bit. Envy, jealousy, zeal. Right? And so there's a connection here going on in the person. He has this zealousness for this woman who is in fact his wife, and he has kind of this unctioning within him about a particular thing, whether it be something that's justified or not. You know, when some of the commentators talk about this, they talk about the fact that, well, perhaps he took his wife before the elders because maybe his wife was spending inordinate time with a particular individual where just kind of things seemed weird, maybe. You know, because again, there's no witnesses of any real iniquity, but just kind of some things. So it talks about the fact that maybe there were some, maybe, you know, this guy walks her to the store a lot or something, or maybe every time he turns around he sees them somewhere talking, right? There's no real kind of things, there's no witnesses of these transgressions, but there's just a thought. So again, the commentators, they talk about maybe that could be the case, or maybe not. It could be nothing, because again, when you look at 14, read 14 again there.
And a spirit of jealousy comes upon him, and he becomes jealous of his wife who has defiled herself. Or a spirit of jealousy comes upon him, and he becomes jealous of his wife, although she has not defiled herself.
Okay, so I'm saying that we're able to rule this out as the Ruach HaKodesh because it's like a 50-50 chance that she did something. I mean, if it's actually the Spirit speaking to him, the Spirit is not going to make some unjustified accusations. The Spirit isn't. Right? I'm saying the Spirit of holiness, the Ruach HaKodesh. But this is something that's happening within his self that could be founded in truth or not.
Potential.
Huh?
Potential.
But I'm saying that there might be a potential, but there might not be a potential. It might be nothing. And this is why it's interesting that it calls it the spirit of jealousy, because I think it's doing that just to let us know that it's,
It could be him.
well, it is him. It has to be him.
It only have to be about her.
It has to be him 100%, because the Ruach is not 50%. It's really based on you following the leading of it. If you're in fact hearing from the Spirit, what you're hearing is coming from the Most High, and it is the case. But this is something that's happening on the inside of the individual, and there's a 50-50 chance of being right. Which, you know, that's not the Ruach. That's not how the Spirit works. I mean, there could be a 50-50 chance of you hearing properly what the Spirit has said. In fact, maybe in many people's cases, the chances of you hearing what the Spirit is saying, maybe your margin for error may be greater or lesser than 50%. But this particular situation is dealing with something that's going on inside of the man, where it could be 100% founded on truth, but it also could be 100% founded on just nothing. Like she could be 100% guilty, but she also could be completely innocent, like with no things going on at all.
I want to add too, because really this is a suspicion.
Yes.
It's a suspicion, and so we think back to this time, even in ancient days. Today, people go to work, and work is what is it? What's that term when it's male and female? Co-ed. Basically, it's a co-ed situation everywhere you go in the world. Back in the day, the women, you know, I'm not going close to this woman and doing this work. Like, men had their different things, and it was segmented. So a man and his wife, they around each other a lot. He gonna pick up certain things. He gonna know. He gonna be like, wait, she acting. Or if this, or if this,
laughing at all
yeah,
jokes.
Yeah, if this other man, like, hold on, man, what
You're so funny.
You be like, wait a minute, man, why you acting like that with this when this dude come around? You ain't acting like yourself a little bit. That's a real thing.
Yeah.
Because women wasn't just out here just in any man's face and everybody knew everybody. I wanted to get a quick scripture.
Go ahead. You don't even gotta be quick. Go ahead.
Okay. And Sirach, you gotta get the apocrypha on this one. Sirach 9:9. Yep. And this is another one of those books. 9, just 9 verse 9. Another book of wisdom. Matter of fact, I started at 8. I'm gonna read 8 too. Now, this is instructions to a man. It says, "Turn away thy eye from a beautiful woman, and look not upon another's beauty, for many have been deceived by the beauty of women. For herein love is kindled as a fire." Okay, so this is instructions to a man not to be looking at a woman just for beauty. Let alone, we know you ain't supposed to be looking at another man's woman with desire or anything like that. And tells you what you can fall into. Verse 9 says, "Sit not at all with another man's wife, nor sit down with her in thy arms, and spend not thy money with her at the wine, lest thine heart incline unto her, and so through thy desire thou fall into destruction." So you wasn't just doing stuff, women, different men and women, especially if you was a married woman, you wasn't doing this stuff. It's because that's why it's giving instruction about to look out for that. So if the spirit of jealousy come upon some man and be like, wait a minute, he picking something up, this is why.
Yeah. And so, I started off by saying there's principles that you find there, and this, there's a road that you are going down, is something that I think about, as, the culture that we live in is different. However, there's principles that I think that we should be able to gain from these things. Me personally, I gain from these things, as a man, I shouldn't be out here touching another man's wife. It's not right. You shouldn't be in certain situations with, you look in today's culture, people talk about having work spouses and everything. Yes. They really be talking like that too. It's crazy. But
And they'll say to their husband.
I'm saying from a principle standpoint, you shouldn't be in having all of these close proximities with these people who, especially those that belong to someone else.
Yep.
From a principle standpoint, a woman belongs to somebody. Her father or her husband. And so from a principle standpoint, you need permission to cross certain boundaries. And so we should think about these things because, like I said, when we look at why this verse even is, it could be totally unfounded. But it could be because, they seem like they kind of, nobody seen nothing. But it seemed like it.
That's what it's looking like.
He catches some of these high frequency vibes that's happening, right? And so if we continue going, looking down here in verse 15, look at 15. Read verse 15 again here.
It says, "Then the man shall bring his wife to the priest, and he shall bring the offering for her, 1/10 of the ephah of barley flour. He is not to pour oil on it or put frankincense on it, because it is a grain offering of jealousy, an offering for remembering, for bringing crookedness to remembrance."
Okay, it's interesting here, and you have to really look closely into this verse to kind of even gain anything. But when you think about what's being brought here is a barley flour. right? When we think about barley flour, we think about barley, like the wave offering, right? But barley flour typically was what the animals ate. And so when we think about barley in general, kind of from like a spiritual standpoint or significance of what it represents, barley kind of represents kind of the animalistic parts. And so if there had been something that was going on, it will be based off of this animalistic kind of just instinctual kinds of things, lusts, inordinate desires, right? And so the offering that will be brought will be according to that. And then the fact that you're not to pour oil on it, and you're not to put incense on it, you're not causing this particular offering to be sweet or to produce any type of fragrance aromas, right? Because of the potential of the sin that could exist here. So I thought that was an interesting thing.
We got a comment. According to that,
What's that?
Judges 13, 2-9 gives an example of how a man who trusts his wife in righteousness reacts. The man of Elohim appeared to Samson's mother twice while she was alone. And it says, Manoah didn't accuse but sought Yah for guidance.
Yes. You can't take away from the idea of trust, right? There's also wisdom, right? And I think a good example of wisdom is when we went to the scripture over there. Yes, the idea of trust is absolutely something that is necessary inside of a healthy relationship. At the same time, we're human beings. We're human beings. We're not superhuman. We're regular. When we look at these people in the scripture, the most beloved person in the eyes of the Most High, David, was a human being. But David had some issues. David had some issues. But I'm not going to sit up here and act like David's issues was like extreme as far as humans are concerned. He had regular issues. He was a regular guy, David was. He did regular things. And he just happened to see something that the Most High created and just was like, you know what he did. but wisdom creates boundaries and walls to prevent something from potentially happening. So yes, there's nothing can be said about trust. Trust is awesome.
I think about, I remember, I think it was, we were getting ready for a feast or something, and you told me to get her a date and get her down to the store and get her shopping on, And it was just like the weirdest thing, and I was like, oh, I'm just going to go to the store with this guy, and you was like, like there was, like you didn't have no thoughts, like either of us. It was just, but it was a strange thing because like I never really.
And I mean, from as an idea, yes.
Yeah.
But when you get into the specifics, it's not that big of a deal, right? Okay.
I don't know why that's like the only example that I can think of.
I mean,
in our relationship where it was like it was a very interesting thing. So I was like, oh wow, this is interesting.
one time I was driving past y'all's house, and my child had to go to the bathroom, so I called her, so I was like, are you home so we can use y'all's bathroom instead of, but you weren't home, and you said, Maria was home, I was like, no, it's okay, I'll just go. I'll just take that risk and just drive home. But, you know, it wasn't a thought, but it was just more so out of just respect, like I want to see in your house. But, you know.
Yeah, it's just certain things that you do that's just, you know, it just is that. And again, when you look at this, like it don't talk about that, but you can see where things could go, which could cause one to have this spirit of jealousy. Right? And so there's other things that we see over here. Let's drop down to verse 18. Read again verse 18.
And the priest shall make the woman stand before Yahweh and shall uncover the woman's head and put the offering for remembering in her hands, which is a grain offering of jealousy, while the priest holds his hand the bitter water that brings a curse.
Okay, very good. So there's another thing that we see over here, principally that can be found here. And it's interesting when I look at this, when you look at a lot of the commentators, they talk about the fact that the uncovering of the woman's head and applying shame here. Because of the fact that, you know, a woman's head is covered from a traditional standpoint. And then for it to be uncovered is, you know, could issue the idea of one who is, you know, existing in a situation of, you know, of not being covered, right? But the issue that I have with the majority of these things that we see in terms of what these people have to say about the woman's head being uncovered is the fact that this particular situation, the woman could be 100% innocent. So she doesn't, there is no shame associated with her necessarily. And so why is it that the emphasis here is on the fact that this is what this is representing here, when there's a potential that she's 100% innocent? For me, when I look at this, I see the fact that the man is bringing his woman here before this priest, and he's putting her in a situation where she is being judged by another man. So he removes his protection, or the picture of his protection, from the woman, so that now she's able to be dealt with by someone else at his request. Because I'm saying the fact that this woman, she could be wrong, and there could be shame that would be associated with her, but again, she could be 100% in the right. And so for me, when we look at this thing that's going on, where it talks about the woman and her uncovering her head, her loosening her head, her removing the picture of a covering from her head, for me, this is more of a thing where she's removing, what's being removed is the protection from her husband, so that she's able to be, because someone doesn't have the right to deal with your wife in an authoritative capacity outside of your giving that right away. I don't know if you knew that. But from a biblical standpoint, that's what we see. from a Hebraic standpoint, that's what we see. And I thought that it was interesting. You know, I always think about the fact that, you know, we talk about the idea of culture and women and all of this stuff. You know, this is a verse that we go to because if the woman goes, just any woman, why do they have this thing where any woman comes, when she comes and she's being accused of something, the first thing that has to happen is that her head covering is removed. That's only because it's there in the first place. Right, and so I look at it from that perspective, just to say that, you know, a wife is walking around covered up. But from a principle standpoint, we see over here the idea that that man who is the protector of that particular woman, in this particular case, he's allowing for this priest to deal with her in a way that technically he is the only one who has the right to deal with her in. And so he has to kind of make an allowance for that to be so by this thing happening. So I thought that was interesting.
It kind of sucks. You know, because it's like she's damaged, she damaged young. So it doesn't matter whether she is literally innocent. He gets to bring her merely because of his perception, his insecurities, his issues, not because of hers, but because they flare up in him.
Yeah.
So she gets to be ridiculed regardless.
Well,
Whether it says it there, she may be free. She may or may not have done something.
yeah.
She could be, like you said, 100% innocent. But because in his mind,
That's why it's a scary job.
Yeah.
it has to be like this. Doesn't mean she's guilty, like it says it there.
Right.
She could have not done it, but she
Yeah.
still has to go through the process.
And what I wanted to add to and the issue that I had with the commentaries, with the commentators dealing with the idea of the shame, is the fact that, first of all, you're going to the priest. This is not some open thing in front of everyone where everyone's seeing you might as well say nakedness, where your wife is being bared in front of all to see. She's not. She's being taken in front of the priest to participate in a thing that's happening inside of that. And so that's the reason why I'm saying this idea of this shame, the only shame or stigma that becomes attached to the lady is if she actually is guilty. But if she drinks the thing and it ends up because it becomes bitter. It's not bitter that she's not drinking bitter waters. It becomes bitter in her mouth if she's guilty. And so that's just the one thing I wanted to add to the thing that you're saying, because it's not as if she's like standing openly in front of all of the people and, you know, there's no ridicule or anything that comes on her as a result of her just going through the process. The only ridicule or anything stigma, shame that would come upon her would be if she actually was in fact guilty. If she's not, you know, she drinks the water, nothing happens, and they go on and everything's fine.
Well, I think the shame would be on them. They'd be like, man, why is he really bringing this woman up here?
Yeah, right, yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it would cause, I mean, for me, I'm saying for me, not this type of a situation, but any type of situation where I'm guaranteed, I know that I'm right about this. Right? I'm saying anything. I know that I'm right about this. Let's go over here and see that I'm right. And then when I find out that I'm not right, you know, in the small case of times when I find out that I'm not right about something, then there could be shame attached to that. And so I could see how that thing could be reversed, but I think that the idea of there being some type of shame or stigma attached to the woman, the innocent woman, I think it doesn't seem to be any grounds there for that. In fact, she becomes justified when she drinks the water and nothing happens.
And then the Torah don't say all of this, but like in our court system, when somebody brings an accusation against someone, they go to trial, the person who has to pay the fees, you know what I mean? Like for the court fees, is the person that gets judged, the one that's in the wrong. And so this is the priest's time, this is resources that's taken out of it. For this guy, if he's just coming up here and he doesn't really have real grounds for his jealousy, like, there has to be, to me, I don't know, it just seems like there should be some sort of preparation that he needs to make for the priest's time, because he was just, off in his mind somewhere. And it's probably had to do with what he might have been thinking about someone else's wife, that would even bring him to the point of thinking that his wife, you know what I'm trying to say, is doing something.
That just went way out. I mean, I can see him being wrong, but like it's just all
If he keep doing it, I think she's right.
if he keep on doing it.
Because everybody here is supposed to be keeping the commandments.
Yeah.
Everybody here that's read this, I know, that should be walking around keeping the commandments. So if you got something on you and you think you gotta keep accusing her, and she keep coming back clear, I don't know. I'm looking at you now. What you doing? Now let's go a little delve in. If she keep coming back clean, there's some dirt somewhere and it's on you. You try to put some dirt somewhere else, and it might be you. Because look, us reading this remind me of paternity court today. Like, when they go in. But see, not just regular court, because now you got these witnesses and everybody testify. These got results. You taking a test and you get a definite yes or no. Like paternity, you are not the father, you are not. And so therefore, the two parties there, you getting a clear answer.
So you trying to say Maury Povich is Torah based?
Kinda sorta. No, paternity court. You know what I mean? Maury, no, that's crazy. That's making it entertainment. But yeah.
One more thing I never really paid attention to before, verse 20. Read again verse 23 and 24.
Okay, verse 23. And the priest shall write these curses in a book and shall wipe them off into the bitter water, and shall make the woman drink the bitter water that brings the curse. 25, right?
Just 23 and 24.
Okay, 24. And the water that brings the curse shall enter her to become bitter.
Okay, so I never really paid attention to this, but what this verse looks like it's saying, they have this scroll, they write on a scroll, they take some of the water, they kind of wash the scroll off and put that water from the scroll that you wrote into and mix it into the water.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of funny. You're 23 and 24. Because there's the thing that you got to say in 20, 21, and 22. And then so he writes that thing down in a book. He takes the water and then he wipes away what was written. And so you got the scroll. You write the curse on the scroll, and then you take some of the water, and then what you just wrote, it's like you wash that off, and you keep that water, and it becomes part of the thing that you drink.
It does say that, and he shall wash them off into the water.
Yeah.
No, that's not right.
So it's part of the mixture, which I never really paid attention to.
So that's how the curse got into the water.
The curse gets into the water along with some dust. A little bit of dust from the
Floor.
floor.
And then you put that, the ink from the paper
Yeah.
into the water.
Not just the ink, but the ink that wrote out the curse.
Okay, yeah, take that.
I thought.
You know what, man? You know, we was at a Catholic thing yesterday, and they was doing all these things.
Yeah.
They definitely took back stuff from the priest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was watching him doing, he was literally doing this and taking this and mixing. I don't know what he was doing. I was just like, this is.
Yeah, I definitely was watching. But all that just to say, so the water, it says in verse 24, that enters her becomes bitter if she's guilty, right? And then if she's guilty, now this shame, this curse comes upon her, right? The water becomes bitter. Her belly, it says, swells, and her thigh shall waste away. And then she shall become a curse among her people. This is when she becomes a curse among her people, is when it comes to find out that she is guilty of these things. Now, the one thing I was thinking about is that it don't talk about here doing with the woman what would have been done with a woman caught in adultery if there was witnesses. Which is interesting, because what greater witness would be the Most High? The Most High sees everything. At this point, the Most High becomes the witness whenever the woman is found out. But the penalty, it seems here, for all of this is this curse that's on her, but it doesn't talk about anything else, like her death or the guy's death or whatever, because those things, it seems, are connected to we can go in the Torah and see where it talks about what happens if a man and a woman are actually caught.
Mm-hmm.
But here, when, as I said, it seems that the Most High is the witness, what the lady receives here is this curse.
And I always, in my need album cover, I associate this with perpetual need album.
Right, because at the end it talks about the fact that the woman, she bears her crookedness. That iniquity that it would be with her if she is in fact guilty, she bears that. She holds it.
That's her, basically her baby. She births.
Right, because she's not going to have any regular babies because her thyroid. Yes.
Does this take into account the corrupt priests, like there in the time when the priests were corrupt? The water, or is it separate from the judgment, the righteous judgment of the priest? Like, does it do its own thing regardless of the priests are following?
Well, what you have here is the rule. Right, you got the rule here, not necessarily examples of the priests following out that rule. And so, we don't even know how many times this process even happens. But in the event that it was to happen, this is just giving us what they should follow out. So I would say no, it doesn't. We don't. At this point, it's not dealing with righteous, or a righteous priest would be assumed here, because it's just the rule. And when you think about it, inside of what's going on, it really takes the priest out of the way, really. When you look at what's going on, the priest got nothing to do with this, because he if you follow these instructions, it's not as if, you know, he takes the water from the lake. He takes some dust from the ground. He takes some of the things that he wrote. I don't know how this altered. It's almost like we're thinking about like the back to the DNA thing. It's like he's just the engineer, really. He's not in it where it's not as if he's making a personal judgment, where he just looking at the thing and say, well, I always had thoughts about you anyway, so I'm just gonna make you guilty. Right? When you look at what is being done here, it kind of, the priest, he's the one who's kind of facilitating the thing, but he don't influence it. And so I think that it kind of like, it don't really, it kind of takes the priest out of the way. That's what I'm saying. Like, the priest ain't even the one really who's doing the judging here. It's the results, which are these divine results that got nothing to do with, like, I don't know what he's able to do unless he, you know, spikes the drink to cause her belly to swell and her thigh to rot. Right? I don't know, you know, I'm not a scientist, but a little bit of, you know, dirt ain't doing nothing. They probably had they probably used biodegradable ink in those times anyway, right? What was they using? Probably some bug juice or something for ink. I don't know what they used. I'm saying it wasn't poison, is what I'm saying.
Right.
It wasn't something that's causing you to be infertile. And so I'm saying, because of how this thing is put together, it kind of takes the priest out of it, where he's just, you know, he's just doing the thing. So that's just my thoughts. Okay, does anybody else have any thoughts, questions, comments? Okay, yeah, so I always thought that this was an interesting portion of scripture. I think that it does speak to, you know, the idea of the necessity for there to be certain boundaries between men and women, so that these types of things inside of man aren't kind of stirred up. You know, if you just eliminate the possibilities, you know, it's, you know, that to me seems to be operating in wisdom. You know, some people, you know, are a certain kind of way, and sometimes, you know, it don't matter how quote unquote safe one might be, you know, within oneself, he might always be someone who's jealous, and that would be a flaw, I would say, in that individual. But generally speaking, I think that for me anyway, this kind of makes the case for, you know, really setting and maintaining boundaries between men and women, not to kind of instigate unnecessary thoughts about things. It's just wisdom. All right. What was these final?
Said one was rejecting a guilty conscience.
It was just whenever we were talking.
One was the name looking the curse is written and rubbed off with the water.
Okay, very good. All right, so that being said, there's much more that could be spoken about in regards to this and any other of the verses inside of Naso. We have all of those in YouTube world, chronicled as such, chapter by chapter. All right.